Have you ever been playing a game and thought to yourself, whoever designed this door is killing it? Probably not. Unless it's a particularly memorable one like those in Prey's Flesh Cave, we're usually too busy thinking about the bad guys on the other side, but there is an art to a good game door. Think of all the things the designer has to consider. Crucially, how does a player open said door? Maybe it's as simple as walking up and pressing A, but it could require hacking, or using a key card, or sliding a block, or killing all the sexy angels. And how does the player know this? Then, once you go through the door, are you free to leave? Can enemies open the door? Can you pile stuff in front of the door to block it? If you're standing in the doorway, can your teammate get through? And what happens when you go back out? Is everything frozen exactly where you left it? Or did the whole world reset like in Groundhog Day? In games, a door is not just a swiveling piece of wood that leads from one room to another, but a vital part of the game. So what do doors reveal to us about games? To find out, please choose a door. And if you're on a mobile device, go ahead and click on a card. I'll wait. Doors expand the game world and show us how that world works. A great example is the opening scene of The Legend of Zelda. The player is given 3 choices of directions to go in, but curiously, there was also a little black door. If you set off ignoring the door, you quickly get killed because you don't have a weapon to defend yourself. Duh. Then you have to start over and say, maybe I should go in here. Lo and behold, Link gets a sword. Inspired by Miyamoto's childhood exploring caverns, this sets a precedent that the world of the game is built around finding your own way to get items that help you discover even more doors. Because we don't know what's on the other side of them, doors can build this amazing tension. All those creaky door cutscenes in Resident Evil, for instance, do a great job at charging the atmosphere with suspense. The effect is heightened by the game's ponderous loading times, which take seconds for the door to appear, seconds for the animation to play, and more seconds for the fade out. It's similar to the slow pan of the famous crane shot in Hitchcock's Notorious. But doors are more than a tool for designers to just lead us about by the nose. In Zelda, to a degree, you can play the levels non-linearly, or at your own leisure. In Resident Evil, you can get lost in the mansion. Having multiple doors to choose from gives the player agency. Sometimes designers use doors to give the player choices. For instance, the doors of the Stanley Parable are all about decisions. You can obey the narrator and shut down the mind control facility, disobey and blow it up, or just take a nap at your desk. And this makes us feel like we're participating in the world instead of running through a maze that the designer set up. As Sid Meier famously said, good games are a series of interesting decisions. But designers also use doors to take player agency away from us. RPGs often have a point of no return. Once you go through the door of the Phase Distorter in Earthbound, there's no turning back until you beat the game. So you better stockpile those hamburgers. But even a door that limits our choices can lead to greatness. The trapdoor in Zork gets bolted shut behind you, but is a gateway to exploring the hidden caverns. And the one-way door at the Lighthouse in BioShock Infinite serves as a point of departure to a fantastic reality. So doors are a deep and fundamental game mechanic. We probably couldn't even do games without them, but what is it about doors specifically? Why not open windows or archways or just holes in the ground? Well, experiments in modern psychology tell us that doors help shape our memories, as crazy as that sounds, and this is super important for game designers to understand. According to what's called event segmentation theory, the brain organizes memory into segments, which are then divided by event boundaries. Walking through a door is like crossing an event boundary. It's a soft reset, flushing out old info so that you can make new memories. In the real world and in games, doors help us let go of what we had been doing and refocus our minds on the new task. That might explain why bosses are kept behind foreboding doorways that end levels, or why doors announce a change of pace between the huge open areas and dark claustrophobic dungeons, or how they serve as a rest stop where we can let out a sigh of relief in Spelunky. On the other hand, because doors are always forcing us to forget stuff, a designer can use them to make games more challenging. Worlds become mysterious abstract puzzles that you need a map to navigate when long corridors are broken up into horizontal and vertical pieces. And this also explains why Portal was such a mind screw. Every time you passed through a portal, your brain was being prompted to dispose of the reasoning and the problem solving and the physics of the thing that you were just doing in order to completely start afresh from a different perspective on the room. For me, that's what's really fascinating about game doors as a design object, that a better knowledge of them can lead game designers to explore new game mechanics. Opening doors in Antechamber, for instance, requires total unprecedented manipulation of the game space. Miyagakuri's rooms lack doors, but you can pass through walls by stepping over into the fourth dimension, obviously, and then come right back. It's the theoretical science door. And what about No Man's Sky with its quadrillion or so planets? Does each one of those count as a door? I think maybe so. Who would have thought that so much innovation could be squeezed out of an invention that's only, 5,000 or so years old?
It's time to choose.
So what do you think? Does this video give you a whole new perspective on the imaginative world of doors, or as the great Sigmund Freud once said, sometimes a door is just a door? Regardless, let me know what your favorite door is from a game, hash it out in the comments, and if you like what you saw, please subscribe. I'll see you next week. Hey everybody, Jamin here from Game Show. So last week we talked about the problem with Scrabble's points, specifically that they don't align with modern language usage and how you're totally playing the game incorrectly. Anyway, let's see what you had to say. Kendall Berenson says that they would like to know more about lenticular design, which is something that we mentioned at the end of last week's show. So, lenticular design is a game design concept that makes Scrabble so deep and interesting. You find it in other games as well. But basically it means that there are deeper layers of game mechanics that really only advanced players know about, but the novice doesn't even really know exist. So the expert Scrabble player might be looking at the value of a piece as adjusted for the current vernacular, as I talked about in the episode, while the layperson would take a letter point value and just sort of play it at face value. They wouldn't necessarily know about this deeper game within a game, just like how a much better Mario Kart 8 player is going to know that collecting coins actually makes you go faster, but most people are completely oblivious that they are even supposed to be collecting coins at all. So now the secret's out, you can go and crush all your friends. A bunch of you, including Teferite and Taylor Bennett, wanted to know more information about Nigel Richards, the Scrabble wunderkind who won the French tournament without knowing a lick of French. Well, so one strategy of Scrabble pros, as commenter Vincent Bullock points out, is to play defensively using three-letter words like a complete and total jerk. This way, it doesn't allow your opponent an opportunity to build their words off of your words. So if you're a defensive Scrabble player, much like Nigel Richards is, with a huge memory, much like Nigel Richards is, and maybe you also have a beard, then you can memorize the majority of the three-letter words in a language and not really worry about the big French words that make you sound really fancy, much less how to pronounce them. So again, it goes back to this lenticular design idea that most players, including myself, when you play Scrabble, you learn to play Scrabble, don't even know that playing defensively really can be at the core of your strategy. So anyway, now you know.